Hi, Nathan Pierce from F5 Networks Programmability and Orchestration team. We're in the middle of episode 4 of the iWorkflow 101 series, and we're now going to cover the iWorkflow backup feature. So I'm logged into my iWorkflow. From the first half of this episode, we just made some changes to the environment by building a cluster. So the cluster is now set up. We have 3 of them all synchronized and talking together. So let's go through a little bit more of the same theme of resilience and safety, and we'll talk about config backups. So logging into iWorkflow 1, I'm not going to log into 2 or 3 because they're going to have this same information replicated to them. So here we are, our cluster's up and running. We're going to go straight into the backups section. So let's create a backup. Not much more to talk about before that. You'll see here actually what it is we want to back up. Well, we want to back up everything that's going on here. We're going to create a backup. We'll give it a name. We can tell it to include the private keys. I'm using the default installed self-signed ones, but maybe you're not and you want to actually back those up as well. You can encrypt them if they have sensitive information. The default of that is left off. We have a schedule for the frequency of backup. I'm just going to do a one-off, but you can set it up so that it backs up automatically on its own each day, week, or month. And also how many to keep. We don't want to just keep backing up till it fills its own disk and kills over. So we can actually delete local copies so many days after creation. So it's good to have a retention policy when it comes to backup. And then the last one, well, if we're going to have a retention policy for backing up, then maybe we want to store an archive copy of a backup, which allows us to push it to an off-box system. As you'll see here, directory, IP, username, and password. We can do it either STCP or SFTP. So there's actually not a great deal to learn and discuss on this. I'm just going to run through one so you get to see what it looks like. I don't think I need a description after my backup, and this is just going to be a one-off backup. Let's back up everything. So I'm just going to select the high availability cluster for this example. I could go and say backup device 2. I'm on device 1. It's pretty cool. It's flexible that way. We're just going to go ahead with doing this though. So we'll set that off and racing. Device creating backup. Nice little spinning wheel so you know it's doing things and it's working. And look, it's doing all 3 because I selected the cluster. So we'll give that a moment to process. Backups are important, obviously. Let's say you had the host that iWorkflow 3 was running on completely dies, loses its storage, everything, and is there no more. Well, what we can do is actually bring that back. Or what you could do is just reintroduce a new iWorkflow to the cluster and it will inherit the configuration of the others. So you have a few options there as well, which is kind of cool. So here we are, the backup's complete. If you're restoring, you'll notice we do let you know. We like to be informative. You don't want to be doing a restore when it's part of a cluster because it's going to be making changes to its state and configuration while it's doing that restore. So you definitely want to remove it from the cluster if you're going to perform that kind of action. So because we have the cluster though, if one of them dies, you can create a new one and license it and introduce it to the cluster and it will inherit the other configurations. So this backup is more for, let's say you made a change or several changes to some connectors and that was a bad idea and that change had been replicated across the others, then that's when you're going to want to do a restore to get that configuration back if you don't want to manually re-enter it. Or maybe you lose the entire thing, it's a catastrophic fail across a data center, and actually you need to build from scratch. Well, then it's also in that circumstance handy to have a backup. I can sit here and download this, I can tell you how long I want to keep it, or maybe this is because it's my environment. Actually, I should probably tell it not to delete this one because what if I break my laptop before we get to episode 5? Anyway, that is pretty much all you really need to know about backup. Fairly straightforward, I think. If you have any questions, feel free to post them at the bottom of this article. yeah, that's all we have for this episode. Thanks. Bye.